Hey everybody, what is up? Was doing some thinking earlier, and one of the things that I've heard a lot of people doing is like, well, the prices of video games are higher when a person talks about them. Not necessarily true. Yeah, some people have found that there's correlation between when certain people talk about them, they say yes, the prices to go up. But in a way, you really can't blame that YouTuber for those prices. The thing is, not everyone has time to watch a YouTuber and figure out, okay, what am I going to do with these prices, and these prices? Everything is set, really, from what I've seen as well, like is a trend. But there's a problem with trend. And unfortunately, it's something we don't really think about, and that is ROMs invading the market. Now, I'm only going to be talking about certain areas, but please understand, this is really something that got me thinking. I had actually been on Amazon looking for a game. Gray Haired Gamer mentioned it was a copy of 1942, great shooter from what I've seen, on the Game Boy Color. So I'm like, fantastic! Let me go see this. Shites, $100 for a loose copy. That's all I saw, really. Hop on eBay, same thing, but with one exception. There was a $12 copy. I'm going, this doesn't make sense. How is a $12 copy of the game beat out $100? So, any smart person will tell you, look for country of origin. Yeah. It was a repro cart for about $12. I'm like, this seems kind of shady. So, a couple weeks ago, this got me thinking. I was on Amazon, where for like $30 you can get a ROM cart with what they say like between 350 to 500 games on it, out of the system. God, how is this allowed? Is Amazon even really kind of looking at what's going on? And there were complaints about some of these. Where a couple like, oh great, whatever. But you kind of notice the trend that anytime somebody says great, whatever, it really isn't kind of like show up as a verified purchaser. But verified purchasers will go, this thing is shite. And you could probably buy your own product and be listed as a verified purchaser, but it doesn't help your case unless you send it back and you refund your own money. I don't know if people do that or not. And it got me thinking about another situation. I thought I talked about this years ago, about 10 years ago, 9 or 10. I had ordered a copy of Mario and Luigi Partners in Time. And the copy I got started with a Star Wars game, and then it went to the game. And so I'm like, okay, something's screwy here. Called Nintendo. Yes, you can do this. At least you should probably still be able to. And I said, hey, I'm having a problem with this game. Guy on the phone goes, can you give me some information off the cart? Like, yeah. So he tells me what he wants. Give him the information. He goes, that's not an accurate game. I'm like, wait, what? He goes, yeah, it's fake. So contacted Amazon and the seller. Seller goes, yeah, when you mail us the copy back and we check it, we'll give you a refund. So in the meantime, I'm going, something's fishy here. The seller didn't have some of the best scores, I should check that as well. And so I emailed Amazon saying, this is a fake, and I'm worried about sending it back in because they might resell it. Amazon goes, keep the game and we'll give you the money back. I'm like, okay, never heard back from the company. Their marketplace got taken down. So that really tells you a lot. There are things they tell you like, make sure you check, trying not to sneeze. Check the cart, see if there's any discrepancies, like if you see like pictures of it online. There's like a set of numbers you can verify the cart with. A lot of different stuff, including like some cases the Nintendo seal of quality. And there's a lot of information out there, especially like for the old Game Boy Color, and Game Boy Advance games. There are different ways, even more to tell how they're fake. And when these flood the market, somebody can put these on the market. You can print off original cover art. You can steal a game as long as you have the right information. You can steal the game. You can print off your own instruction manuals or whatever, and I'm sure people are doing this, obviously. Or they're just probably taking cards out, repoing and putting in packages. I don't know. The copy I got looked like it was factory sealed. And there might be sellers who don't know they're doing this. But it seems to be a growing trend that the more these games people want, the more and more you do see these repo cards out there. And it's pretty disturbing. Because you're thinking, okay, people don't want to spend $100 on a game. We can re-release it illegally, and we can make money on ourselves. I even see somebody selling, they said brand new copies of, what was it, Castlevania, the 3 that, like the dual pack for Advance, the 2 separate games, RDSR and one other one, and then there was a 3rd one released for the Advance, and all these games, extremely, extremely high priced. The seller was selling them for about 14, 15, 16 bucks. And you could buy a limit of 2. They said brand new, but you only saw the cart, no boxes. This is the problem. We are basically creating a fake market by increased demand. Nobody ever talks about that. I've not seen it. And I've seen so many people talking about games and they're like, well, the price increase, yes. But as prices increase, there are people who can't afford the games that want them. The ROM market comes into play. And this is where we have the biggest problem of them all. People are getting screwed one way or the other. And I think it's only going to be really the hardcore collectors that are going to pay good money for these games, because they might not play them. They're going to have them sitting on their shelf, but it's going to be, oh, look what I got. Are you playing it? No, but it's going to be sitting on my shelf because, so-and-so said it's a really good game. Let people play the games. And it's like another game that I bought. Was not a fake. I bought it in the store. Checked it. The game itself, without the original box, which I don't know if I have. I know I have the artwork, the instruction booklet, the game, and the soundtrack for the game. The soundtrack, people want $100 for. I'm not kidding. The game, loose cart, would be about $100. The instruction manual, the art from the case, which I got rid of the case for space reasons, and the Nintendo warning, $200. Complete package, $5. Not even marked as, just sealed, just everything together, $500. And the thing is, with that game, there were just copies sitting on shelves. Nobody was really buying it. If we look at games like Little Red Riding Hood Zombie Barbecue, Walmart was selling them for $7 clearance. And they had a ton of them. It's like they couldn't get rid of them. So now, people who have the game or whatever start talking about it. People go, well, I want to play that game. I want to play that game. Prices skyrocket. And what people aren't realizing is it was a game that didn't sell that well. There are a lot of games that don't sell that well. When people start talking about them, the supply and demand, there's a low supply, high demand, your prices are going to skyrocket like you would not believe. While, yes, the YouTuber talking about it does create that demand, there's nobody's fault for the supply. Nobody was really playing it. So the amount of prices are going to go up. You can't blame that on the YouTuber as well. That's not their fault that prices go up because there was not that many sold and they get rid of them. It's just not. It's kind of like with... I was kind of going to compare this here. I was reading an article talking about, songs from the 70s not a lot of people have heard of, and these are songs like they said, people should give a retry. And he used those 2 words that I kind of don't like hearing for certain things, hidden gems. And I get it, because local music scenes tend to have a limited amount of vinyl, CDs, cassette tapes, whatever produced, because obviously they don't have the following and the money to print large amounts. In that particular case, especially for local scenes where people across the country and that start hearing about them, people want those because they want to be able to hear it. They might want it for their collection or whatever. But with those, the supply is so small, or tracking somebody down, somebody that has a copy of it, that's going to be much harder. In cases like that, I get it. Who Plugged Roger Rabbit was actually the book that Who Framed Roger Rabbit was based off of. Which, if you read the book, is really weird coming from it. And the book had, not that many people were selling it, but for like a large price, over $100 to $100 to $500. But I found a digital copy for about $5 or $6. If it wasn't for that digital copy, I would never have read it, because it's just like, it's too much. On like the lowest price, I think maybe it was about $50, but not in the best quality. This is about 11 years ago. I don't. 11 or 12. I'm trying to remember. Between 10 and 12. And there are just so many books out there. Trying not to cough. That, people say, oh, I don't like e-readers, I prefer the real book. And you're going, yeah, but with books, if you don't have an e-reader, there are some books that'll cost an arm and a leg no matter what. And you can basically get them on an e-reader. Now, a lot of people get them illegally. I pay for my books. But yeah, it's so insane that there are still books out there, which surprises me, but they're very limited runs, as I found out. Like, it can be up to $1,000 for a book written in the 50s, which is pretty sad. But ultimately, though, this isn't mainstream stuff that I've seen. I was just like looking for stuff, and there are quite a few found like that. Even like with textbooks, I've heard like you have nowadays for college, you have to get, like, to use them, you have to get some sort of code, and they were trying to stop kids from reselling them. They're like, back when I was in college, you resold your books and you got a shite price back, but you did get some money, and then they could turn around and resell it for a little bit higher price. So your books were always in circulation. Some English classes, yeah, I got a few books here and there. Didn't always want to get rid of them, but that's neither here nor there. Trying not to cough and sneeze. That's the part of the problem. Allergies. But yeah, I mean, the world is changing, and people need to understand that we can't put, the blame on everyone. If you want a game bad enough and you have the disposable income, yes, you will probably spend 100, 200, 300, 400 on a game, like people I know. But if you're someone that doesn't have that disposable income, you're probably going to try to find the cheapest copy, not look for that copy, or get a ROM. And especially when COVID started, people were dusting out their game systems, buying games from them, and that could have increased a lot of the prices, because you have games that are being bought out, systems that are being bought out. Prices do go up because of that. It's the way the world works. One of the most recent examples that I've heard of with people getting the shaft because of COVID is in the trading card market. There are not enough cards being released to meet supply and demand. There are stores that are limited to like 3 packs of like baseball, football, whatever cards. So people try to break the system. They'll like have their kids go through a line. They'll try to double back, take their stuff out to the car, come back in. I've heard people saying they're told no. There are people that still try to buy several packs, even though there's like the sign that says limited. They're like, well, I didn't see it. I'm like, I'm standing there like in the line. I'm like, even I saw that sign. It said 3, and I can see it just fine. And they're like all over the place, and they're like limited quantities because the companies apparently are not able, because of COVID restrictions, they can't print out so many. This is what I've heard from someone. I don't know the truth of it. This is not a market I'm interested in. So if people see the vendors hanging around, putting stuff out, people hang around the vendor until they see what they want, and they'll grab it. The vendor will start putting out more stuff. They'll grab it. And I've heard the vendors normally, like if a store has a limit, they're normally good about telling people. Someone I know who works retail, I do too, but this is a different store. I should have admitted that, but yes, I do work retail. Somebody in a different store that I know told me that they've had people, buying the stuff, and people go, hey, where do you buy your, where do you sell your stuff? I'm like, Facebook Marketplace, eBay. And one person had told them that they were thankful they found at least one of the bigger boxes of the cars they were looking for. They said people are selling it for like 2 to 3 times the amount on eBay. And they said it sucks because they said, I can't afford that. He said, I'm just, I like to collect. I may trade my doubles or whatever with people. And I understand that. I get that. But the problem is people take advantage of situations. That with, don't hear the anti-COVID stuff, any of that. I've heard it all before. COVID has caused that problem. It has caused game shortages. In some areas, people are buying up. They're impacting several different other things, like electronics being able to be sold, stuff like that. It is. So everybody's dealing with it, but there's always going to be some person who's going to figure out a way to cheat the system. And yes, maybe somebody talks about a game, but that person who set the price for the game could have done so figuring, well, people come over from that channel, they're going to pay, I can probably get more money from it. Now, that's not necessarily the YouTuber's fault. A lot of YouTubers do talk about the things I've discussed. I want to point that out. Not just personal stuff that I've heard and I've seen myself. It's a reality. And these are things people need to take into consideration. People are creating an inflated market right now. It's the truth. Anytime there's a shortage of something, someone's going to find a way to screw the system, screw over people, so they can make a profit. It's the way the world works right now, unfortunately. It's the way it's worked for a long time. Even if you look at the book market, like I mentioned, there are books that are rare. People pay $3,000 on up for them. Look at cars. There are some cars that were limited run, and the ones that cost the most are the ones that were the most well kept. Just like video games, anything else. The more well kept it is, the more the price is really going to be, but some people don't think about that. So I think I've ranted long enough. Tell me what you think in the comments below. Talk to y'all later. Take care. Bye.